All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me on the Teacher Lady Speaks. This segment is going to be all about how to raise more confident children who believe in themselves, even when the world tells them not to. I'm Miss Erica, the teacher lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Now, all this week we have talked about what it means to be confident. We started our week on Monday with the Teacher Lady Read segment of the show, which are the two read alouds. We had Brave Dave and Dancing in the Wings. We followed that up on Wednesday with Behind the Book Reviews, where I gave you insight on how to use these books as a resource to have deeper conversations with your children. And then today we're wrapping it all up with the Teacher Lady Speaks, a crash course again on how to make sure that those babies believe in themselves. All right. If you have not done so, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a week. Every week we got a different topic, and every week I'm here to help you on that topic. All right. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and hop into it. How would I explain self-confidence to a 5-year-old? So confidence is that feeling when you know you can do something, right? So when you first started reading, you had learned the ABCs. And at first it was really difficult, but then you got to a point to where you knew if I put a letter in front of you, you were going to be able to tell me, oh, that's a B, that's a Z. There was a lot of confidence around you knowing those letters. You knew you could do it. You believed in yourself, right? That is what it means to be confident. And that has to be applied in your life in multiple ways. So, self confidence is the ability to believe in yourself, because when you believe in yourself, it helps you to be able to do the things that are hard and the things that you love. Now, as always on this segment, we compare two states, the state of Texas and the state of California, in terms of their curriculum, so that you as a parent or as a caregiver understand what your child might learn in school about that topic. So, for the state of California, there are core elements of self-confidence underneath our social emotional learning competencies. So that's going to be code 1.A, where students are expected to build self-confidence gradually. So this is more so a framework or an idea of, we think that teachers should be educating students on being confident, especially when they're facing hard subjects. It's not necessarily a step-by-step curriculum on what it means to be confident. Now, there are frameworks underneath that same social emotional learning that talk about students from transitional kindergarten up to second grade, that they should be able to name their feelings and their emotions. They should be able to describe what makes them unique or different. And overall, they should have a belief system that they're able to learn and grow. Now, in California, by grades 3 through 5, the state wants them to start to take pride in their work, who they are, and better manage their emotions. There's even some self-advocacy in there where the state wants students to express their needs and their opinions respectfully. So California curriculum kind of works in multiple ways. There is the child needs to learn two-digit algebra by this grade, right? There is a very specific requirement. And then there are these general, we think children should be confident, we think they should be happy, we think they should be able to self-advocate. And that's kind of put on the educators to figure out exactly what that means. So I would definitely say that this curriculum for California is more of the second one, where as the state, we recognize that these things are important, but there isn't a laid out curriculum on how to teach it. And so again, it's left up to the educator to figure out how to navigate that. Now, I would say the only thing in California that has a bit more depth to it when it comes to self-confidence would be the growth mindset and goal setting underneath the California Social Emotional Learning Guided Principles. And you also see some of that goal setting throughout like PE and language arts. So there's some, just not as in depth as you might think. Now, in the state of Texas, it works a bit different. Under the Texas Education Code 28.002, each school district that serves K through 2 must offer what's called an enrichment curriculum. So an enrichment curriculum is things like health education, mental health, managing emotions, establishing or maintaining positive relationships, and responsible decision making. So under the Texas Education Code 29.906, the state board is required to integrate traits and personal skills into the essential knowledge and skills for K through 12. So this is going to include things like self-control, self-confidence, or it's expected or implied that it's self-confidence, but it more so discusses being able to control yourself and your emotions and overall self-management, which is different from self-confidence. There's also a lot of discussion around perseverance and kind of getting past your problem. Lastly, Texas did adopt an educational standard in Chapter 115 that there is a mental health and wellness strand to again be able to better regulate emotions, relationships, and decisions. So Texas very much so felt like control yourself, be able to regulate your emotions, get it together, which is actually not bad. I do believe that we need to have control over our emotions, and I do believe in self-regulation, but I believe that those are not the same things as self-confident. When you are confident in yourself, it's not just perseverance. Perseverance is a bit different. I feel like perseverance is very much so rooted in, which we have a week on perseverance, but perseverance is very much rooted in this thing is hard and I'm going to get past it anyway. And self-confidence, I would say, is less on why you can't and more than why you can. It's less on trying to push past the hard things and more so really kind of getting to know yourself, your own limits, your own boundaries, and making your own decisions. So I feel like perseverance is more pointed outward in terms of like, I'm going to get past these external problems, and self-confidence is really about you shining your own light within. All right, let's talk about some resources that can help you raise more confident children. Of course, you can use the resources that we talked about this week and that we read. That's Brave Dave, as well as Dancing in the Wings, as well as my book, My Hair is Too Big, which I wrote and illustrated. All of these books really do cover what it means to be confident and what it means to move past the negativity of other people when you do find the thing that you love, or what it means to be celebrated when you find the thing that you love. And so those books are definitely resources. But in addition, there is an article that I think is so well written, and it's called The 12 Tips for Raising Confident Kids. And that's by the Child Mind Institute. Now, the Child Mind Institute has a bunch of gems just all over the website. It's definitely a website I tell you to go and browse. But specifically, this article is going to help kind of give you insight and information on how to raise children who are confident in themselves, especially in this new age of great comparison. Our young children are being compared to like celebrities at this point with all of the things going on social media. So that article is definitely a valuable resource. If you're an educator, a school counselor, or a parent, check that one out. The next resource I want to bring you to for raising confident children is called kidshealthy.org. And this is a child-friendly article to help kids name what self-esteem is and how do you grow your own self-esteem with daily habits. So self-esteem and self-confidence definitely go hand in hand. They go together real bad, okay? When you have a higher self-esteem, you tend to believe in yourself, which of course in turns makes you more confident. And so the first article that I mentioned is more so for adults. This one is actually child friendly. If you have a child who is reading, they might be able to understand it, but it really pushes against this idea of low self-esteem and shutting down, and encourages children to find their own spark. The next resource is one that I love. It is a written journal. I know with my child child, when she was learning how to write, I just had her copy. I had her vocalize what it is she wanted to say. When it came to that prompt, I'd write it out and then she would copy it. And when you're raising confident children, it's important that they understand that they're brilliant, that they understand that they're beautiful, they understand that they're talented. It's not enough for your parents to think that it's true. The self and self-confidence has to do with that person that we're discussing. The next resource for raising confident children, put them in somebody's debate, somebody's swim team, somebody's debate club, some Girl Scout, something that is going to help them not only socialize, but really find their way in a group setting. This does so much for raising children that believe in themselves, as well as just building meaningful, lifelong relationships as well. And of course, you can check them out at your local library if you're looking for a group to put your child in. You can ask your local PTA, your parent teacher association, if you have one. And so there are definitely ways to get them involved, but get them involved and it will help with their confidence. And I say that with a caveat, but oftentimes it does help. And along that same kind of theme, look for local theaters or art programs that will help with self-expression, especially if they're struggling with that right now. And that too will help to build their overall confidence. Best practices at home. One is to celebrate the win. So if you have a child that is constantly self-doubting, they're constantly having a hard time, they constantly feel like they're out of place, when they do something well, we acknowledge it. And we acknowledge it first by getting them to acknowledge it. So if your child struggles to come in and put their backpack in the closet instead of throwing it on the floor, and one day they do that, you can literally be like, yo, what'd you just do? And they're looking around like, huh? And it's like, where'd you put your backpack? And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, I did do that, huh? And so kind of getting them to that self-confidence, but encouraging it is definitely a best practice. It is always helpful to find, whenever I'm teaching a topic, you want to find ways to encourage it in your day-to-day life because nobody has an extra hour a day to talk about all these different things. And so embedding it in the things that you do already works out very well, like noticing when they were struggling with something and now they're doing it good. Maybe they never struggled with it and still acknowledging and noticing that anyway, because it helps them to feel like they are good at something. And you want your child to really believe in themselves and their own ability. And so that's super important. The next best practice for building confident children, you're going to have to say yes a lot more. And I've struggled with this one. I've definitely struggled with this one because you want to wear polka dots and stripes and yellow and purple and pink hair, huh? Right? And then I have to remember, well, girl, it's Halloween. Like, let her do her. Or it's not a big deal. It's just a grocery store run. And so finding the yes as much as you can helps to build confidence. When we as humans hear no all the time, we start to think that there is something up with us and we can internalize those no's. And so, of course, we're parents, we have to parent. And when it is a no, if you can explain why it's a no, that would be super helpful. So actually, we're not going outside with this skirt on and some rain boots and no coat because that's how you get sick. Okay, just kind of going the extra mile to explain the why of the no also helps to build confidence. And then giving the yeses as you can, making them feel like they had a great idea when they actually had one. Please don't lie to your baby. If that wasn't a good idea, don't be like, yay, you set the house on fire. Like, absolutely not. But when they did do something that caused them to think out of the box that they had to strategize for, definitely make sure that you celebrate that as well. And then the last best practice I'm going to share with you, if you want more, subscribe to my newsletter, is to let them teach you. Let your child teach you something. If they learned a new math trick at school, allow them to teach it to you. My daughter was recently watching Brainchild, which actually Brainchild is another good resource. It's on Netflix, but it definitely helps your child to explore new things, and that can build confidence as well. But she learned something when it comes to like the physics of the hands. And her daddy have been doing this trick thing day after day after day. But she feels good because she brought it up. She was able to teach it. She was able to replicate it. And so being the student and letting your child teach you is golden when it comes to building confident children. When to seek help. If your child refuses to try anything that is new because they think that they're going to fail, like I'm talking about 100% of the time, you don't want to do nothing out of fear of failure, it's probably time to get help. If they're constantly putting themselves down, they can't find a compliment to save their life, they can't find anything good about themselves, they don't love nothing about themselves, it might be time to go seek help. If they want to isolate out of embarrassment or out of fear of rejection to the point to where all they're doing is go to school because you're making them go and then they're coming home and they're kind of closing their door, it's also time to get help. And when I say help, that help might be a medical doctor, it might be a guidance counselor at your school, it might be getting them into support groups. That help might mean a variety of a thing. When I say get help, what I mean is you don't have the answers. We are past the point that you as the caregiver, you as the parent are able to help that child because things have gotten so bad in that topic that you need additional support and resources. So go get them. Don't wait till it's too late and there's no way to get any level of confidence back, or for the first time if they've never had it. Common questions. My child is too confident and they think that they could do everything. And so you definitely have children that overdo it, right? I feel like I can do anything. I believe in myself a bit too much. And sometimes even that teeters over to like narcissism and inflated sense of self. And so there's definitely a balance to be had. And with that balance, I would say if it's incorrect, correct it. Like I was saying earlier, we're not going to be like, great job on something that wasn't a great job. We're not going to celebrate things that should not be celebrated. I am a strong believer in being honest with your child. When they did something that wasn't okay or that was inappropriate, you need to correct that. And if you do so in a way that leads with love, but is still stern, it should not destroy their confidence. Okay. The next question I got, which I thought was really powerful. Well, what if I struggle with confidence myself? We all have moments where we struggle with our own self-confidence and sometimes even our own self-worth. As you're working on raising your child and you're listening to these videos, apply the information to yourself. When did you come home and put that backpack in a closet instead of throwing it on the floor? What did you love that you did this week for yourself? How did you show up for something that was super uncomfortable? And the more that you can apply these techniques to yourself, the better for all involved. Because a lot of times, especially if you grew up in you had a rough beginning like I did, you have to parent yourself. If you weren't given a set of parents who taught you all the things you're now trying to teach your child, you're going to have to parent yourself. So definitely having a lot of grace and applying some of the things that you've learned from this episode. They're not just for your children, they are definitely applicable for you as well. Okay. Wow. Thank you. This is like week 17 at this point. So many different topics, so many different books, so many different ideas. I thank you for loving me. Maybe you love me. I thank you for learning with me. I thank you for being vulnerable, for possibly being uncomfortable with some of the topics that have come up, but willing to learn and do your best for your classroom if you're an educator watching, or for your students if you're a guidance counselor, or for your children if you're a parent or a caregiver. I feel like we're all doing the best we can with what we have, and I'm so grateful that you showed up. Until next time, make sure to check out my books and my Pay It Forward program because we have children who are in need. But I want to thank you for being here, and you remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.